What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ducks and Download. In this comic communication, we're going to be going over two amazing drops. First is going to be Dr. Aphra, issue number 33. And secondly, then, we're going to be getting back into the amazing short stories that take place within Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red. But we definitely need to jump back into Dr. Aphra. We go back to a flashback, actually, that is going to show Master Sakura teaching younglings at the Seisan Temple. There, though, she's going to get a summons from Master Shakti and go speak with her, as they are both very concerned about some evil presence growing in power. Shakti mentions how the Seisan Temple was actually built to contain and or control whatever this evil might be. So let's head into hyperdrive back to the present to see Luke and Aphra trying to use words and coercion to talk their way past these two Jedi Masters, until Aphra kind of realizes they're definitely not moving whatsoever, puts her hand through a lightsaber and it doesn't burn her whatsoever. They're illusions caused by the Seisan Temple, a first sense of guard almost, to keep away what would be ne'er-do-wells. You know, Dr. Aphra. Well, then Luke and Aphra set off into this maze-like structure that is the Seisan Temple itself, only to find bickering and fighting being spoken, if not in their ear, then in their own minds. It's hard to tell, but it seems the reflections from this very crystalline walls are fighting against the two, trying to turn them against each other. Aphra hears Luke pretty much talk smack about why Sanastaros would have left her, and Luke of course hears Aphra talking about how he'll never be good enough to be anything, let alone a Jedi. This causes both of them to of course immediately get to each other's throats, but all this anger and yelling might just have summoned what is kept deep within the Seisan Temple. This spectral, very creepy wraith suddenly appears in the crystalline walls. It is Luke's quick thinking to quiet down and stop the arguing that seems to have maybe gotten the creature to leave. Not to mention, there it is again, this bell noise that Luke and Aphra keep hearing, but Luke can feel it almost resonating throughout the entire temple. While he's also in a very good state of mind, he mentions, let's get out of here before that thing returns, and what a good plan that is. They continue marching on. This is where we're going to get another flashback, though, and even more knowledge into what the Seisan Temple might just be holding within it. But before we dive into that, guys, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe in this video. I would really love your subscription so that the channel can grow and we can continue these comic book breakdowns and sharing awesome canon lore. Make sure to like the video, that way I know you're down for more comic communications. And comment down below what other duo you would love to see in main run Star Wars besides Luke and Aphra. Once we get to this flashback though, now we have Sakura and Shakti very concerned, pretty much telling all the younglings and the other people at Seisan Temple, if we do not succeed in this mission to contain this great evil that is about to be maybe unleashed during this storm, do not come back. Immediately flee. Do not return to save us. There is something wicked in this place, and I do not think Aphra or Luke are ready for what they might be stepping into. And it seems that sentiment is going to be shared by Luke Skywalker himself, as after being saved from a trap, he's beginning to realize, what if this place isn't really to keep people out, but to keep something in? Honestly, he doesn't need this bell anymore. Who cares? They'll go find a different Force artifact. Well, this is when Aphra's true colors always kind of shine through, and she pulls her blaster, pretty much telling Luke, that's not how this works. You are going to go find this artifact. We're going to make you stronger, because if you can feel the tremors in the Force, so can Vader. But Vader's not as weak as you are. Vader's stronger because of it, and I don't want to die. Long story short, she's trying to help Luke become a better Jedi, of course just to save her own skin, because she's terrified of the fact that Vader was able to find her that easily. See one of my last comic communications with Darth Vader issue 35 for more news on that. So, at blaster point, she forces Luke on until eventually he says, you can put it away, I understand what you mean, and yes, I will continue to do what I can to better my connection with the Force to defeat the dreaded Darth Vader. Well, lo and behold, they do then of course find the bell, and it's a bell. I don't think Aphra understood what most of these times these artifacts aren't always what they're literally described to be, but this is just a giant bell. Aphra has no idea how she's going to get this on the ship, let alone carry it out. Well, in true, shall I say, almost Indiana Jones vibe style, Aphra sees something very shiny and glinting at the top of it, asks Luke for a boost, and sends the entire bell crashing down where it shatters on the ground. Once that ringing bell has stopped resonating, Luke can immediately feel a horrible presence in the Force, and a silence, a horrible silence throughout the entire temple. And this comic leaves us with the visage of a spectral wraith, some entity of perhaps the dark side, so powerful to never die. And it's now on the loose. And the only thing there to stop it is Aphra and Luke. And this next issue is going to be crazy, and I'm so excited to see how they're going to rebottle this genie they just let out of the lamp. And speaking of absolutely terrible beings that can just decimate entire planets, on to Vader, Black, White, and Red. This time we're finally going to get the finale to Hard Shutdown, a really amazing 3-part comic that we've gotten through the first 3 issues, all about Vader being captured and trying to be chopped up. Well, continuing in this story, Vader is of course absolutely destroying any squad, droid, or individual slicer trying to break back into this building, get to the immobilized Darth Vader, more or less calling in their ultimate trump card. Now they send a ship into the sky to blast Vader, saying, well, if we can't take him alive, we'll take the parts dead. What a surprise. Not to anyone who really knows Vader, that will not work. And he begins to force choke the pilot and slams the ship into the building, almost steering it with the force. That way, it can wreck into him, causing him to be free. And this is when we get the most amazing part of the end of this, I think, a really awesome line, where the captor, again, the child of the man who created the technology for Vader, simply says, "Father, you were right. He's magnificent." And Vader walks out of the fire to, of course, slay everyone who took part in this capturing of him. To continue that theme, next we have Annihilated. And this one really fits the title, as we get to see this really cool, almost comic book, newspaper style stripping with Vader just taking out an entire rebel squadron trying to lead a transit to a planet. One by one, force choking others, just completely decimating this rebel squadron. He then lands and completely annihilates, much as the title would tell you, an entire rebel outpost until only the general is left. There, the general must watch as the transport, apparently carrying their families, crashes into the base, destroying both, and no survivors. There, Vader finishes off the general and reports in to say, the job is done. And lastly, a pretty nice mental thriller, we have Diplomatic Impunity. In this one, we find a new lieutenant, both scared, but also excited to be Vader's new pilot on apparently a very secret mission. Vader has this pilot take him to a very selective planet, as she is from this planet, and hopes to be able to gain intel through working together. Then, of course, though, this lieutenant does understand doing good under Darth Vader is a great way to excel in the Empire. As they begin to walk around Sargine 3, the lieutenant tells them about how it's a very backwater planet with no rebels because there's just not very many people there. Everyone's just trying to survive. Lo and behold, of course, though, a rebel battalion upon a wall begins to try and fire at Vader. He easily bats away the fire and with one hand crushes the entire wall, again just cementing the power and rage that is Lord Vader. From there, though, the mental part of this really kicks in, where Vader begins to talk to her about a house belonging to a trader who works for the Empire selling information to the rebels. The lieutenant realizes quite quickly that's her home. Those are her family in there. And there is when Vader gives her the ultimate choice. Become a double agent, sell out the rebellion, and sell your soul, or I will kill everyone you've ever loved. And she gives in, and the Empire wins another day. These 3 really showed the absolute ferocity that is Anakin Skywalker as Lord Vader. The force powers from his imprisonment, being able to just take everyone out without moving a muscle, to, of course, annihilation with his wielding a lightsaber and having his TIE fighter being almost unstoppable in both sky and ground. And then, of course, with Diplomatic Impunity, we have his mental abilities and his ability to coerce a person and really force their hand, making them reveal all their cards to him and the Emperor. I've loved the Darth Vader Black, White, and Red series, and we have another one coming out, and I can't wait to see what this last issue is going to give us. If nothing else, guys, the art in this series has been stellar. I absolutely love it. Tell me what your favorite story from Black, White, and Red was down in the comments section. I'd love to hear your guys' point of view on this one. Thank you all so much for joining. Have an amazing rest of your evening, and as always, may the Force serve you well.